Hey everyone, Russo here. I hope everyone is doing okay today. And I wanted to take a little bit of time to share my experience with two injuries on my hand. And the reason I'm sharing is, I guess, just for informational purposes because before I had these procedures done and when I originally had my injuries, I did search on YouTube and sometimes didn't find as much information as I wanted. So I'm just gonna show my experience in all of the pictures that I took over the years of what was going on. And I hope you guys are able to learn something from it. Just a brief warning as well, there's some mild graphic content, so just pictures of stitches after the surgeries and I guess kind of dried blood, things like that. Nothing major, but just wanted to let you guys know in advance. So I broke my finger on April 6th, 2017. It's my right ring finger, and this is basically where it all started. You can see the arrow is just pointing to the crack where the finger was broken. And I was put in a splint, and we waited for it to heal. In the next x-ray here, we can see that it has healed June 1st, 2017. And you can still see a faint line of where the break occurred. Now, after it was fully healed and I was out of the splint, I noticed that my finger was kind of getting caught or stuck when I was bending it or making a fist. And so after my surgeon inspected it, she said that it appeared to be a trigger finger and that she could release it through surgery after we tried several times with steroid injections, and it didn't do anything to help it. So we decided to go ahead with the surgery. So we're now into July 26th, 2017, and this is about a week after the first surgery. We were assessing whether or not we could remove the stitches, and she decided it wasn't quite ready, and you can see that it's not quite dry enough yet. So we decided to leave them in a little bit longer. Moving forward to August 1st, 2017, you can see that things have definitely dried up and it's looking a lot better. Now to August 3rd, 2017, the stitches have been removed. You can still see the holes where the stitches were, and it's quite red and a little bit irritated, so a little bit swollen, especially on the right side. So I'm just keeping it covered at this point and letting it heal. Here's a couple days later, August 5th, and it's looking a lot better. The redness has started to go away, not too much swelling, and it's looking good. And August 11th, 2017, you can see that everything's flattening out, and I've been moisturizing and trying to keep it clean, and things are pretty much healed at this point. Now, a year has passed, and throughout the year, the so-called trigger finger came back and was probably worse than before. And she wasn't sure, the surgeon wasn't sure if she could perform the surgery herself because it seemed like kind of a detailed thing to do that she hadn't really done before. So she referred me to another surgeon in the city that was supposed to be, best of the best. And she referred me there. During this time, I also had another injury to my right hand where I fell and hit my middle right hand knuckle and caused a sagittal band rupture. So I was waiting for both of those surgeries to happen, and I was put on a waiting list. So June 3rd, 2018, this is just a picture of the healed incision for the trigger finger, and you can barely see it now. About 3 months later, I was seen by the new surgeon, and he put me in more splints before going ahead with the surgery because he wanted to be 100% sure that I did need the surgeries. So I was in splints for a couple more months, and then turns out he had to go on leave, so I was switched to a different surgeon, and finally my surgery did come up a short while after. This is the day of my second/third surgery because I had two separate incisions made for two different procedures. August 23rd, 2018, and this is just after the surgery. I was all wrapped up with like a cast and a sling. And I stayed like that for about a week. So this is the first time that I went back to the hospital for a checkup after the surgery. Here you can see my right knuckle incision with the stitches. I'm just going to read off the OR procedure notes that I have access to here. It says reconstruction, right long finger, radial sagittal band with vest over pants plication and ulnar sagittal band release, 50%. And then it says right long finger, radial sagittal band rupture with ulnar subluxation of EDC tendon. So that's what happened with my knuckle. Here's a picture of the same hand for my right ring finger surgery. And for that one, it says right ring finger flexor digitorum superficialis static lasso tendon transfer through A2 pulley. And then it says right ring finger post-traumatic snapping swan neck deformity. This is just another image of my hand on the same day, and you can see that it's totally swollen pretty much everywhere. They weren't too happy about the swelling, but I did all I could to keep it down, and I guess it just didn't work. So here I'm having my first splint made post-surgery, and I'm saying post-surgery because before the surgery, I had, countless splints made, maybe like 5 or 6 different splints that I went through. So this is the first splint after the surgery. And here's the completed splint. So they fit me with a softer material so that it wouldn't irritate my finger or my knuckle incisions. And it was pretty comfortable. And this is just the other side of the same splint so that you can see the little wrap around my finger that connects to the rest of the splint to keep it all kind of as one piece. This is a week later, and you can see that it's definitely healing. Still a bit swollen, but it's looking good. Same day, September 6th, on the other side, on my ring finger. And this one's looking all right as well, although I believe this one hurt more than my knuckle. This one is September 9th, 2018, right after I had my stitches removed. And same thing here, just on my ring finger. This is about 2 weeks later, September 23rd of 2018, and you can see that everything is healing and drying up and getting better. And same day, just on my ring finger. Here, a week later, September 27th, 2018, you can see that all of the scabs have come off on my knuckle. Here you can see that on my finger, it's taking a really long time to heal, and the scab wasn't coming off. I had to do a lot of soaking, and eventually it did peel off. And now October 5th, 2018, this is the second style of splint that was made for me. And instead of the very soft fabric straps, now I have more like a Velcro hook and loop situation. Here is my knuckle on that same day. And here is my ring finger on the same day, and you can see that the scab has now come off. This is an example of how much I could bend my hand into a fist, and it wasn't a lot. It was just very stiff and somewhat painful, and my hand would shake a lot when I tried to close it. My grip strength at this point, as it was tested, was somewhere around 10 or something like that, which is very, very low compared to my other hand, which was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was way, way, way higher. A month later, I was able to get into a new splint or splints, since they were separate. But you can see on my ring finger, there's one splint holding the finger at I don't know the degrees, but not straight, basically, just to keep it bent. And then on the middle finger for the knuckle, we had kind of a slip-on ring that would prevent me from bending down my knuckle, and you'll see an example of this in the next picture. So here's what the other side of that looked like. This is 2 months later, January 4th, 2019, and things are healing very nicely. This is my finger, looking good as well. About a week later, I was able to go into my fourth splint, which was only for my finger, and I was able to gently bend my middle finger knuckle, and this new splint allowed me to bend my ring finger inward but not straighten it completely. As I started wearing the splint in the previous image, it became clear that my finger was still snapping and moving out of natural position when I was bending it and straightening it. And it appeared that my finger had stretched back out again, even though it was supposed to have been corrected in that first surgery. So this is the fifth splint about 2 weeks later, and I am basically only wearing it to protect my finger at this point, and I am waiting for another surgery to happen. So February 1st, 2019, I had my fourth surgery. The same method was used as the first time I had the surgery, with extra tightening, I guess you could say, as well as a different method. Let me see if I have it here. And yes, so it says, Right ring finger radial lateral band tendon transposition / transfer for secondary reconstruction of recurrent snapping swan neck deformity. And then part 2 of that, right ring finger FDS revision tendon transfer / lasso for recurrent snapping swan neck deformity. And so I had 2 incisions done on my right ring finger as a final attempt to try to fix it. A week later, February 9th, 2019, the wrapping has been removed and you can see it's not too swollen. The incision was made over top of the old one on the inside of my hand. And then this is a side view of my finger. You can see that it is extremely swollen. And this was the second incision that was made to perform the new procedure in addition to the original one to attempt to fix it. This is the 6th splint that I was put in. It was a little bit more involved than the last one to make sure that the finger stayed in that angled position. So I had all 3 of my last fingers splinted in there, and then just access to my pointer finger and thumb. And again, we use the soft strap material to begin with as well. And this is the other side of that same splint. So February 12th, 2019, and it's healing quite nicely. I did notice around this time that there was a lot of numbness on my finger that wasn't going away. And it was more so located on the side of my finger, not on this area here, but there was numbness there as well. And I was told that it would go away as time wore on. This is the same day, just another view. And again, you can see that the swelling is definitely still there. Moving forward 5 days to February the 17th, 2019, the stitches were removed on both incisions. So this is my ring finger, and this is the side of my ring finger. Still pretty numb at this point. A couple weeks later, March 5th, 2019, everything is healing fine on the actual wound, and I still have numbness. And here's the side of my finger on the same day, particularly numb in this area. Almost 3 weeks later, things are looking really nice. Redness has gone down, but the numbness persists. Same day, things are also looking better in this area, but still quite numb to the touch, and doing exercises, trying to loosen it up a little bit. This is my 7th splint, March 29th, 2019. So now I have my middle finger freed up to move, and the rest of the splint is pretty much the same with the Velcro straps this time. And this is another view of that same splint. So almost 1 year later, I found that there was, I guess, a knot from an internal suture on my knuckle that would move around whenever I moved my hand, and sometimes I would also hit it against things and there would be a sharp pain. So I spoke about that with the surgeon, and he said that he could remove it or remove part of it so that it wouldn't bother me anymore. In this picture, you can see the little lump, and that little ball-shaped lump would move around when I moved my fingers. So February 24th, this was the 5th surgery. The arrow there is just pointing to, that is not a cut, it is just where they injected the anesthetic, and it just for some reason kept bleeding, and then the actual cut is underneath the little tape there, and he just went through the same incision that he had originally done. This was a few days later. It was a little bit wrinkly and I don't know, soggy, I guess, or a little bit wet, and very bruised as well. And so the stitches were just on the inside and not on the outside, so that's why it looks like it's not completely together there. This is the next day, and yes, my hand is very dry, but I was trying not to wet my hand too much to make anything worse. And you can see that the arrow is pointing to the right hand side of the skin there, and it was basically a flap that I could just, if I wanted to, pull open or pull apart. And sometimes I would hit it against something and it would start bleeding. This happened a few times, and it was just basically almost overlapping the other side of the skin on the left side of the incision. And I did speak to the clinic where I had the little surgery done, and they said that it was okay and to just kind of keep an eye on it, and if it didn't close in a few more days, then to go back and see them. And this was almost a week later, and it is starting to heal. A scab is starting to form there, and there's still a lot of bruising around the area, but it's not too bad. So April 3rd, 2020, the scar is basically healed. The little ball that was there is pretty much gone. The arrow there is pointing to what looks like, I'm not sure if you can see, but like kind of like a dot or a little hole. And I couldn't figure out what that was, but eventually from kind of picking at it, which I guess maybe I should not have done, but I did because it was bothering me, and I found it was basically a little piece of old suture or something like that, that I pulled out, and now it's completely back to normal, and that little dent there is gone. The current status as of today, which is November the 27th, 2020, my hand is fine. It does function mostly normally. I'm not able to make a full fist with my ring finger. It just kind of stops before the rest keep going and make an actual fist. Doesn't really bother me too much. The grip strength is not too strong. My left hand is definitely stronger. My hand does shake when I carry or hold something that is a little heavy. And I do still have numbness on my ring finger. It's not anything severe, but it is there, and I guess that some of the nerves just didn't grow back together thus far. And my knuckle is fine. It does still hurt if I lean on it or hit it against something, as does my ring finger. It's very sensitive. I can't put a lot of pressure on it where the incisions were made. But other than that, I would say that it was a successful, if very, very long process. 4 years to get everything done. I mean, I do live in Canada, so as I understand it, things go a little bit slower in terms of appointments and surgeries and procedures and things like that. However, everyone was extremely pleasant. The surgeon, the doctor, the hand therapist, everyone that took care of me was amazing. So I'm really happy with that. And yeah, so if anyone has any questions, please let me know down below, and I will do my best to answer them. And I hope that if you're on some kind of journey with your hand, that you have a speedy recovery. Alright guys, take care.